Hey. Okay, now you
It
can
worked.
see me. Okay.
Let me turn my, oh, there we go. Okay. This is cool, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so first of all, Marshanna, how long were you incarcerated?
A total of 2 years, 2.5 years to be exact. That's including jail and prison.
Okay, and you had told me that how long were you at Hernando?
Hernando is where I finished my sentence, so it was about a year and a half. I was at Lowell for only like 6 months.
Okay, okay. And can I ask what you were charged with?
I was charged with burglary and grand theft. Um, let's see, what was it? I'm trying to remember the actual terms. Um, because I know it was burglary. One was occupied, the home, and the other home was not occupied.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay. And just briefly, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? Like,
Um,
was it a close-knit family? Was it a dysfunctional family?
I would say that my family um was not as close knit. My mother did the best that she could raising me. Then she had married a guy and I ended up being adopted. So I never got to know my father. And by the time I got to know my father, he had already passed away. So, yeah, my dad that adopted me wasn't the greatest parent. And
Okay. Was there addiction in your family?
um, there is drinking. I believe they smoked marijuana. I think all of my family members has done something as far as drinking marijuana, cocaine, um, crack. Even my aunt. I remember my aunt telling me that she had smoked crack for a long time.
Okay. And you had mentioned that you left home at 15 or you were thrown out. What was that about?
My mom, I guess because I was giving her so much trouble at that age, and early on, that she just couldn't handle it no more. So she said it was tough love and that I had to move out, that I needed to find somewhere to go.
At 15?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, where did you go?
Um, I, s- I knew some friends because, of course, I had run away off and on before I was originally kicked out. Um, then I had met some older gentlemen, and they told me in order to stay with them, I had to have sex with them in exchange. I remember calling my mother and begging and pleading to come back, but she told me I could not.
Wow.
And I ended up doing what I needed to do to survive at such a young age. And I was at the river one day and met my kid's father. And I thought he was basically like my savior because he didn't do drugs. He, treated me like a princess, all that good kind of stuff. And I thought, okay, because it's like the father figure plus I was safe. And I was with one person versus multiple people.
Right. Was he older than you or
Yeah. He's 10 years older than me.
okay, so and how old were you when you met him?
About 17.
Okay, so he was like 27 then.
Yeah. I wasn't able to buy cigarettes yet. But it was like right at that age group. So I think that's
Okay.
like 7-ish.
Okay. So so what would you say ended you up in prison? Just I mean, was it, did you have an addiction problem? Um, what was your kind of mindset?
Um, I ended up like with my kid's father, I ended up having two children, two boys, 15 and 16. The kid's father was very abusive. I had realized that early on. I realized that was not the lifestyle I wanted for me and my children. I wanted to get a job. I wanted to get my driver license because I didn't have any of that. So when I got with him, I was very dependent on him, um,
Right.
and he controlled everything. So once I started getting a job and building myself up where I could be a provider myself, things got very bad in our relationship, verbally, physically, emotionally. I ended up going to a women's center and staying in there because I ended up running away from him because, everywhere I went, like if I went and stayed with a friend in Jacksonville or wherever, he would find me. I have no clue how he did it, but he found me. And I would go back and it would be the same thing. For 7 years, I tolerated that abuse. Um, I was dating this guy and I was working for a bell bonding company and I had to go to work the next day and I was having a really bad night. And the guy that I was dating said, "Here, I want you to try this." Well, I didn't know what it was. I just went on ahead, hit it. Come to find out it was crack cocaine. I smoked it, and before I knew it, I knew I liked it and I was addicted. And then it had me do horrible things, the unthinkable that I never dreamt of in order to get that drug, to stay high. Um, and what led me to prison was while I was on those drugs, um, I wanted to get back at the people that hurt me. So I would say that it was an anger problem. And when I smoked that drug, it would work my brain, kind of per se. And it said, basically, let's go rob your kid's father's home. And before I went to go rob my kid's father's home, I thought about, trying to have him want me back, so, sexually. And
Right.
I was going to tie him up and set the whole house on fire with him because of so much pain that he did to me. But luckily, he was not home. So the drug dealer that was riding me around and pimping me out and doing all this and that, um, I ended up just robbing his home, and he ended up pressing charges on me. And there were a couple of other homes that I had broken into with my co-defendant, the boyfriend, um,
Right.
that also had got me in trouble. So I ended up, getting a lot of trouble, a lot of trouble. That's what led
Right.
me to then.
Okay. So what was your prison experience at Hernando? I mean, as far as programs, the guards, how you felt while you were there?
I would say at Hernando, it was a much better prison experience than Lowell for me.
Mhm.
Um, it had a lot of programs, how to raise your children, GED programs, culinary arts program, um, and of course, I took all those. Any program they had, I took. Same thing with church groups. I went to church faithfully. I was on outside grounds, so I got to go out of the gate and
Mhm.
work. Um, and I just stayed busy and focused. I know there was some issues going on as far as officers having sex with the inmates
Right.
doing some of the things that was not things I would like to see. But I basically kept my head down, mouth shut, and just focused on the programs. And that's what kept me pushing and going forward, which
Right.
actually was,
Was Chaplain Parchman there when you were there?
I believe so. That name sounds very familiar because
Yeah,
I,
she was
I
chaplain.
was arrested May 20th of 2009, and I was
Okay.
released in 2011, and then I finished my 4 years probation.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting mixed up. I'm actually thinking of Hillsborough. I don't know that much
Uh,
about Hernando, except that it's gone downhill since you were there.
right. Yeah, that's what I was told.
So, did you? have any medical issues when you were at Hernando or at Lowell? Do you have any
Um,
experience with medical?
as far as medical, the only experience I had was, well, yes, at Lowell. Okay, when I first got to Lowell, there was a female, and I won't say her name, but she had been to prison 7 times. So of course, granted, she had a lot more experience than I did, and I was at the canteen line getting my canteen food, and I had gotten all that and took it back to the dorm. And as I emptied my shirt that I had carried them in, because I didn't have a bag to carry anything in, got ready to put it into the locker, the female with seven, been to prison 7 times, came over and grabbed all of my stuff. And I was like, oh goodness, I've only been here like 2 weeks. What should I do? I mean, I've heard so many horror stories that you become someone else's female. Um,
Right.
um, and I'm little, so I was like, what do I do? So I ended up running towards her, and she knocked me out, and she had tripped both of my teeth, and it caused a bad infection. So I had to go to medical, get the tooth pulled out, and because it was getting abscessed, and then something ended up biting me, maybe a spider or something like that. And they
Probably one of
said,
those spiders, right?
yeah, and it left like a big gash in my head, and they had to scrape it with a scalpel, and the stuff was old looking, didn't look safe, clean, sterilized, nothing came out of the package. I don't know, all I could think and pray was, I hope I don't die in here, because
Wow.
none of this stuff looks sanitary, none of it looks good. And it was a lot rougher because I was housed with any type of other people with sentences, like, murderers, the list. You're housed in there until they classify you.
Right.
And like I said,
Exactly.
it was very hard for me, but I did my very best to keep my mouth shut, but I knew that that's not where I wanted to stay. And I ended up putting in for any prison. I didn't care. I didn't know nothing about any other prisons, but I just knew I didn't want to do it. I wouldn't,
Right.
I didn't know if it was because I was going to turn bad and become one of them, or if I was going to become someone's woman, or just to survive, or what was going to happen. I just knew that is not the place I wanted to be.
Right. So were you able to move or not?
Yes, that's when I ended up getting moved to Hernando.
Oh, okay. So you went to
Yeah,
Lowell first and then Hernando.
yeah. From
Oh,
what I've been told, everybody gets housed at Lowell first, and then once they're classified, that's when they ship you to another place. From what I've
right.
been told.
Yeah. From the reception
Sometimes,
center. Right.
sometimes you have to finish your sentence out, there, but sometimes you can be transferred. I was
Right.
woken up in
Yep.
the middle of the night and got transferred, so I was like really, really happy.
I bet. My daughter's been there for almost 7 years.
Oh wow.
Um, so did you have family support while you were incarcerated? Did you have somebody putting money on your
Um,
card or?
my family not so much. Um, I one of the guys that I had got involved with, I guess you would call him a John, when I was on drugs. When things would go wrong, I would call him and he would come get me. Well, when I went to prison, I memorized his address. So I started writing him letters. I said, please, can you put something on my books? This is where I'm at. This is why you haven't heard from me. Um, he finally wrote me back. It took a little while, but he finally wrote me back, and he made sure that I had a full canteen. He made sure that I had minutes on my phone. He even made sure that my parents had a way so I could call them, or do like a three-way so I could talk to my
Right.
son. I mean, I was so craving my son. My son had never been without me up until the day that I was arrested, or went to court and then told,
Right.
I'm sorry, you're gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was your experience getting out of prison? What did you go through? What was
Um,
your
when I got,
experience?
when I got released, I had to go to probation. once a month, and be drug tested and pay them money, because who I robbed, they needed restitution. So I had to pay them. Oh, it was very hard when I got released. I moved in with my mom. Well, I moved in with the guy that was taking care of me. Um, but it was different because I was not on drugs no more. So therefore, me and him did not connect. And he was way older than I was. I mean, we're talking, he's in his 70s. I'm 36. Um,
Right.
he got really mad when I said, I want to go back home. Can you please take me home? He got really mad. He was like, I've been there for you. Da, da, da. I said, it has nothing to do with you, but I'm sorry. I'm not in love with you. You know, like, this is wrong of me to stay with you because you're wealthy enough to take care of me, and I would never need or want for anything, but I just need to go. So I went and lived with my mom and dad, or her husband, not my dad.
Mhm.
Um, and I remember applying for multiple jobs and getting turned down. I was borrowing my dad's vehicle, to get to places. And I'm just constantly being turned down, going to probation. I didn't think I was going to honestly make it. I finally got back in touch with a lady that I did bail bonding work for, and begged and pleaded for her to please take me back, that I had changed my life, that I was no longer on drugs. I wasn't into prostituting. You know, I was straight and narrow. I wanted to get life back on track the way that she remembered me. And that's what gave me my break. Once she employed me, I worked with her for almost my whole probation sentence, almost 4 years. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it was just such a blessing. I mean, I'm so forever grateful that she allowed me that, because once I guess they see employment, especially a long employment, I guess that can open up other doors for felons to realize, okay, this person will not recommit their crimes or create new ones, or, you know, won't reoffend. That's the word I was looking for. They won't reoffend. Um,
Right.
just break, and that's all I kept asking for. So it was very hard, because I mean, my parents were like, "Oh, I don't think you're trying to get a job." I was like, "I really am. Every day I borrow that truck, I'm trying to find something. I promise." You know, and it's really hard when you get out. And then being back in the environment where you committed your crime, where you prostituted, where you smoked drugs, knowing where those places are at, and to not do it again, especially when you're being closed. You know, I'm sorry, I'm not helping you. Sorry, I won't give you a job. You know, um, it's very easy to slip back into that. And I just kept thinking of my son the whole time. I said, I don't care whatever else happens. I've got to make through this for my son.
Right. Right. So how are you doing now? You've been out 7 years, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And
I'm
how are you
I
doing now?
I was doing really well. And right now I'm just like in a really depressing stage and stressed out. Um, trying not to slip and go back to my old habits. Um, because I'm taking care of my mother, um, who has a lot of health issues. I'm taking care of my stepdad that's dying of liver failure. We just got recently told he's got 6 months to a year to live.
Uh,
I was working 3 jobs total. Um, one of the jobs were here at the home. Then the other job was real estate, as an assistant, and the other one is like a farm where I weld now. I've learned how to weld since I've been out, from this job that I'm still working. That's the only job I have left, because by the time, you know, I got to take my mom to appointments, take my son to school, take care of myself. I have some health issues myself now, and take care of my dad. There's no time, and no employer is going to keep you. I mean, they can feel sympathetic and empathetic, but you know, they have a company to run. Um, I'd say I've been out without my real estate job for a month, and it really hit me harder than I thought it would, because I
right.
feel like my life is backtracking, and my goals and my dreams and everything that I wanted to achieve has been really hard. and
Right.
really,
Well, that's a lot to deal with. What you're dealing with, that is a lot. That'd be a lot for anybody.
yes,
That's
ma'am.
really a lot.
So,
Um,
recently, I had to reach out to my doctor. She's kind of like my therapist slash friend, and let her know, I feel like I'm going to slip. I feel like I'm going to fall behind. I need help. And I've never asked for help. I figure it out on my own. I'm a hard headed child, I'm a hard
right.
headed woman. I have to figure out my own. I don't ask for help. So when I ask for help, I really need it. And
Right.
she knew, my doctor knew that. She ended up putting me on some depression medication, which I'm handling very well, and some anxiety medication, and told me that not too far, I think about 30 miles from me, are some groups like AAs, um, those types of groups, you know.
Right.
Um, and I guess there's a number that I can call if I just need to talk to someone and I can't drive there. Um, so that's been very helpful to know. I haven't actually reached out yet, but I feel like I'm going to have to soon.
Right. Yeah, that's a lot. That is so much to deal with. Do you have siblings? I mean, do you have any support at all as far as family support or help taking care of your mom and her husband? No?
No, ma'am. My brother, he passed away when he was 13. He was hit by a semi truck, and I've been the child ever since. I was like 6, 7 years old when he passed away. I actually remember my brother saying that he was going to a friend's house and he would be back in a few moments, and he never came back. And I really think that's maybe why my mom wasn't so close to me after that, because she felt if she got close to me, she would lose me too.
Right. That would make
So
sense.
it was really hard, but it's made me stronger and a lot wiser, and to realize how precious life really is, and how sometimes us on the outside take things for granted. I mean, just the smallest things. And I've learned a lot of valuable lessons by going to prison.
Right.
So, I mean,
Right.
there was a lot of bad stuff, but at the same time, I learned a lot.
Right. Right. My heart goes out to you, sweetheart. You're just dealing with so much.
Yes, ma'am.
And I hope you reach out to one of the groups and maybe get a sponsor or somebody that you can call and talk to when you need to,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
that's a hard, what you're dealing with is just hard for one person to bear alone. So you really,
It
really need to reach out
multiple
and
multiple phone calls, like I don't understand it. Like, because my mom's only 62, she can't apply for Medicare. She has to be 65. So it
right,
seems like the door I'm trying to get help is being closed on me, and I'm getting very angry, very upset, depressed, sad. I'm like, I need help. I'm only one person, and I want to get her the
right,
best care that, and not necessarily like put her in a home, but like I know they have programs. I know there's things out there. And last week, I finally got my break. A lady that lives up the road owns a business, a florist shop, and her brothers were Down syndrome. So she had numerous of numbers, and I finally caught my break last week. They're going to put her on long-term Medicaid, which will, I guess, pay me like $103 for gas. I mean, anything's better than nothing. Um,
right,
and any medical stuff like the medical alert buttons, like if I'm not here and she falls or something else happens, she can press
right.
the button and I have some security to know just because I'm not there, she can get the help.
Right. And I would, yeah, I would look into that more as far as like home health and things through
Yes.
Medicaid.
They on a waiting list, so I don't know how long
Okay.
the waiting list is, but we're on it.
Okay, good. Good,
Finally,
good, good.
after 8 months of this.
Yeah, that's tough. Man, oh
Very
man.
tough. I'm like right here towards the end, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm gonna break. Many a
Yeah.
night's crying, many a night screaming, many a nights just saying it'd be so much easier to live my other life, no responsibilities. But I look
Right.
at my son and I'm like, he don't deserve that. You know,
Right.
I don't deserve it either, but he doesn't deserve that. He's not out there yet in order to make those choices, make those decisions.
Right.
So
And
he's
you
been
will,
my rock.
right. And you will get through this. It's amazing what we can get through, you know,
Yeah,
no matter how hard it gets, as long as we keep moving forward, we do get
exactly.
through stuff. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
but it's difficult.
Yes.
Can you tell me, just to close, do you think that, did you come out with any psychological issues from prison? Like I know a lot of women come out with PTSD.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
I
you know
did.
that.
I ended up with the PTSD, diagnosed with that, um, because some of the things that I've seen and had to endure, I wouldn't wish on anyone. Um, at the very beginning, I had it really hard in the very beginning. Like I said, you know, me being tiny, they looked at it as an easy target. So I'm on medication for that. I'm on medication for bipolar, and an antidepressant. That way, when I get really, really upset, then I can take that and it'll help calm me down. Staying in programs, just trying to stay focused, because it's very easy to slip back. It's a
Oh
lot
yeah,
easier to slip back than it is to keep going forward. But
exactly,
I don't
exactly.
want to fall
In
back
the
forward. I want
beginning,
to
and
keep
then it
going.
turns into a nightmare.
Exactly. I mean, I own two homes now. I own six pieces of vacant land properties, and I own one vehicle. So within 7 years, I've gained all that and pushing forward. So the
Right,
reward is so much bigger than it would be for me to fall back.
right. And good for you. I mean,
Thank you.
you're way stronger than I think you are. I mean, you're a very strong person, Marshanna.
Hard, but thank you. I appreciate that.
Very, very. Um, okay, honey, we're going to close. So,
All right.
and you and I are going to keep in touch,
Okay.
um, so I can be some kind of support for you. Um,
Thank you.
and so, how we end this, I think there's a button on your end that says end video or something like that.
That says finish on mine.
Okay, so you can press that and then I'll approve it and put
Okay.
it in the group. And hopefully, I know there's other people in that are going through what you're going through, taking care
Yes,
of,
ma'am.
you know,
Goal when Yes, that was my
yeah,
goal, to share my story and to see if I could help other women and encourage them to the reward, like I said, the reward in the end to keep pushing forward is so much better than falling back. I'm at my very, like I said, I'm going through a lot. I mean, if anybody should fall, I think it should be me right now. But I don't want to lose everything I worked so hard for. So I just
e-
gotta keep on. I gotta keep on.
exactly. And I have a friend right now that's pretty much going through the exact same thing that you're going through and feeling the same kind of feelings. And it's really, really hard. So,
Yes, don't
so
have support.
hopefully in the group, you know, somebody will reach out that's going through the same thing. Um, so, okay, well, we're going to close for
Hey,
now.
all right, thank you.
Okay.
Luck to your
Thank,
daughter. Thank you. Bye bye.
thank you so much, honey. We'll keep in touch.
Yes,
Bye
ma'am.
bye.
Bye bye.